Welcome back, guys. Maverick here with another episode of the Millionaire Detective. So, anyways, in the last episode, we got our first glimpse of what the series is about, at least the characters. We're introduced to Kanbe and Katou, and Kanbe in particular, being the asshole millionaire that he is, really flaunts around his wealth a lot, right? And it's funny, it's hilarious, he's an absolute asshole, but I love him for it. With that being said, now in this episode, I do think we're going to set the tone for how the series is actually going to progress in terms of the storyline, right? We can obviously expect Kanbe to continue with his antics. However, how exactly is the story going to go? Is there going to be an overall arcing sort of hidden main story, perhaps dealing with Kanbe's past, or is there just going to be, lots and lots of cases one by one, and then through solving these cases together, maybe they bond and eventually come to terms with each other as partners, right? They're never, I assume in this kind of scenario, they're never going to really change or anything, but at least they will be more tolerant of each other, right? So with that being said, I think we should get into the episode. Oh, one last thing though, some bad news actually. So I just saw a while ago on Twitter that the next episode of Millionaire Detective is gonna be delayed, and delayed indefinitely, due to the coronavirus situation that's going on. So don't really know when it's going to come back. This season has had a lot of delays as well. Delays to summer, delay indefinitely. But such is the nature of life, right? And I'm sure that Japan has a lot more pressing issues at hand than anime. But with that being said, let's enjoy this while we can with one more episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Modern crime prevention task force. Be a mentor? This she's like, whatever. Okay. Dies from overdose. Oh, he ate it. Stop shoplifting campaign? Okay, they really do a lot of miscellaneous work, huh? And there's got to be a reason why he's following him specifically, right? And the fact that he chose this, this specific division, when if he wanted to, he just could go to any place that he wants. Bathtub full of money. I wonder if that lady that's, yeah, if that actually means anything, or are they just trying to emulate the James Bond 007 kind of feel to it all. Shinjuku. Huh. He's actually doing things. And they're like, hmm? This huh. A drug, I guess? How did he know? Punky. This guy is OP. Roppongi. The place of high scale clubs, lots of foreigners. Yeah. The hard boiled detective route. And the traditional method. I see. Come on, Kato. If it wasn't for Kanbe, you guys wouldn't have. Hmm? Money speaks. Or actually, I think the word correct saying is money talks. Oh, get the inside scoop. You just want the inside scoop. Hmm. Yeah, there's probably a way to brute force this if needed. Oh, isn't this the guy? Isn't this the girl in the opening? Yeah, I think so. Love does much, money does everything. お。If you don't, yeah. Yeah, they need to know who's. They need to cut him off at the supplier side, right? How is he? Hmm. Mhm. Wow, that's a nice car. Hmm. Where is this place? Wait, is this like private mansion? Yeah, it's a private mansion. Oh, and here's. Is this your home? Yeah, it's my home. Hmm. That's her. Oh. What? What? ？By the way, the gumi part means organization. So basically, it's the sort of like Japanese mafia, like yakuza, basically. What do you care if justice is served? Yeah. But who is she to? I gotta say though, this case probably also isn't under his jurisdiction. Organized crime in Japan falls under a specific jurisdiction of a particular division. So theoretically, both him and Kanbe aren't exactly doing things by the book. Oh, it's the mascot. That's probably where she's hiding, right? Kanbe's whoever that is. Hmm. You probably shouldn't yell his name out loud. It's probably a girl, actually. Helicopter. Yep, helicopter. Ooh, and Apache? Seriously? Purchase of the tower is. Oh my god. I love this guy. Sleeping gas, probably. Aren't you trying to force your own sense of... Oh. So it's not even a case of disobedience. Hmm? And of course it's in his private plane. Wow, this dude. This dude. Okay, so this is the actual ending. Right. Man, this song is lit. Wait, I thought I... Okay, I think I've seen this last episode already. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the ending, so... This is a great song, though. Alrighty, sorry about that, guys. So apparently, I completely blinked on the fact that I already watched the ending before. So I don't know. I think I would have remembered if the song was so catchy, but I guess I was a bit too tired last week. But yeah. Anyways, great song as always. And also at the very end there, we did get the sort of expense report of Kanbe once again. In this episode, he spent around 830 million USD. Of which, and with some spare change as well, the bulk of that went to purchasing the tower. The 830 million was basically for the tower, and the rest was for various other stuff. And now, interestingly enough, one thing that I did not catch at first was that if you guys recall a scene where Kanbei was actually eating ramen with the journalist as well, that was actually specially custom made Kanbei branded ramen. So he ate the cup ramen and he was like so enamored by the taste of it, he decided to create his own brand of it. Because hey, why not, right? Um, and this episode once again. Uh, if you think about it, there's only one thing that's really over the top, but just that in itself is like completely like way over the top, right? Like even initially, okay, paying off money to the to street guys, trying to get information out of them. You can't. I mean, it's not typically done in that sort of manner, but you could easily see it as buying information off of informants, right? That's you can actually use an official channel to do that as well. It's just in this case, Kanbei basically skipped through all the red tape and decided to pay it out of his own pocket, right? So a lot of those other things, I don't think there's any real reason to be so negative about it, right? Which I'll talk about a little bit later, and that is related to Katou's character. Before that, though, one thing that we do get introduced to here is Kanbei's sister? Question mark. I assume that's his sister, maybe younger sister, older sister. Who knows? I'm talking about Suzue, right? The lady there. So apparently she was working undercover, and that's how Kanbei got most of his information here. And that is the lady in the that we see in the opening, right? So sort of like doing all the dirty work kind of girl. Um, so that's fun as well. The rest, and of course, at the very end there, we got Kanbei dragging Katou off to Hong Kong to on a little trip there, right? So I can definitely say that Kanbei probably took an interest in Katou in the first place, and that is why he is in this division in the first place, right? That should be obvious from the first episode as well. There's a specific reason why he came here. And that maybe has to do with his own background, and maybe learning of Katou's story or so on and so forth. But yeah. Beyond that, what else? Okay, the one thing that I really want to talk about is rather in regards to Katou's attitude, right? So, in a way, we can definitely see the way that they clash here. Katou is basically trying. He has this ideal of how a cop, how a detective should be, very old school, old fashioned, building rapport with the local community and, building up his local informants, having these leads and different people that he can utilize, such as taking in the reporter, right, the journalist, and then also, in regards to his interrogation methods and whatnot, right? With that being said, however, I do kind of feel like, in a way, Katou, I seem to feel that for Katou, the ultimate goal is not actually to protect the people, to protect the peace, and so on and so forth, but rather to uphold his own ideals of how a cop should be, right? And the way I'm saying this is, okay, so you can say that you don't particularly like Kanbei's methods, or you don't think it's sustainable, and so on and so forth, and that is all reasonable to say, right? At the end of the day, though, the fact that Kanbei is here and the fact that he did use these methods means that you're catching the bad guys, you're putting criminals behind bars, you're keeping the people safe, right? Shouldn't the end be the ultimate goal for them anyways, and that is to keep the people safe, to keep the peace, to keep criminals off the street, right? And if that really were your goal, then why would you be so why would you be so against Kanbe using these methods to round up the criminals, right? I mean, sure, his methods are kind of orthodox and I gotta say slightly illegal. Like, I'm pretty sure that you're not allowed to fly an armed helicopter in the skies of Tokyo. But beyond that, like I said, bribing people, paying off for information, and so on and so forth. Why would he need to feel so negative about it if it can help him catch the bad guys in the end, right? So I feel like he's sort of letting his own ideology clash with what should be his ultimate goal, and I think he doesn't realize that, actually. He doesn't realize that yet, and that's something that is probably going to come up in the subsequent episodes as well. Because let's be real here. Katou himself isn't exactly a play-by-the-book kind of cop, right? I already talked about in this episode, the topic of jurisdiction. Now, I do feel like that might be, delving a little bit too deep here, but typically these sort of matters, dealing with drugs, dealing with organized crime, they are subdivided into subsequent divisions, into subsequent groups which handle these matters, right? You're not supposed to just say, for instance, if you're a traffic cop, for instance, and you found evidence of organized crime, you're not going to be investigating that yourself. You're going to report it to your superiors. They're going to transfer this information to the team that does deal with organized crime, and that's how it's done, right? In this case, of course, the Modern Forces division, it's not entirely clear what their role is, what their goal is, but the fact of the matter is there is already dedicated groups, dedicated teams dealing with organized crime and dealing with drug trafficking, right? So just by them taking on this case itself, that's already a breach of protocol. So like I said, I do feel like it's, I don't really feel like Katou has a case here against Kanbe. It's more that, he's trying to uphold his own ideals, and I do think that's actually interfering with his ultimate duty as the protector of the people, as the hand of the law, right? So that's just my thoughts on Katou right now. It was interesting to know his backstory as well. So apparently it's not just because he's so hard-headed that he clashes against his superiors and whatnot. He actually had an incident, and I would venture a guess and say that that's probably why Kanbe took an interest in him in the first place, right? Like, if he was just here to solve crime or whatnot, he could just do it by himself, right? There's no reason why he needs to take an interest to Katou so much, and follow him, tail him along, or take him to these various different missions and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, I'm interested to see how that is going to be developed. Okay, and beyond that, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. Definitely still keeping with the over-the-top theatrics and whatnot. Getting a nice story in the way as well. Kanbe is definitely a lot more chill than I originally expected him to be. Like, with his entrance in the first episode, I thought he was going to be like completely off the walls crazy and doing, flaunting his money whenever he can, right? But I feel like, even though, I mean, that is still true, right? He's still flaunting his money whenever he can, but he's doing it in actually a pretty reserved way, right? He's not doing it in an overly pompous way that's going to make people dislike him. At least, I mean, sure, maybe some people do dislike him, but at least for me right now, I am totally fine with what he's doing, right? Beyond the, the ending scene with the armed helicopter and whatnot, that was a little bit over, but hey, that's just the way the anime is, right? That's just the way this work is. So yeah, another great episode. Well, this has been my sort of little hidden gem for this season, actually. I wasn't expecting this to be good, but it is definitely getting on my good side more and more and more. So it's very sad that the subsequent episodes are going to be delayed till further notice. And so, well, I guess that's it for now, and well, I hope I can see you guys sometime. Hopefully, not actually in summer, in the summer of the 2020 season. But if that happens, then hey, that's that, right? And in the meantime, if you guys would like to, do check out my other works as well. I do all different kinds: comedy, action, romance, slice of life, cute girls doing cute things, all that sort. If you do like my kind of style, where I talk a little bit more in the review portion and maybe not as much a hype reactor, yeah, I do would like you guys to check out my other works. So hopefully I will see you guys in the not too distant future, but until then, stay safe guys, and bye bye.